Hey there, welcome to the Uplift. We've got a great show for you today. Among the stories, a priest with a podcast and hundreds of millions of listeners. The song this children's choir learned to spread a powerful message, and a 5-year-old's selfless idea to help other kids. Also inside the White House to meet a team of groundbreaking staff members. Plus, we show you a little prince in more ways than one. Do you recognize that guy? All that and our most viral videos of the week. You're watching The Uplift. Hey there, I'm Tony DeCopel. This is The Uplift. It's a show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes and hopefully a little bit longer, so stick around. We got a lot to get to, but we're going to begin with our most viral videos of the week, starting with little Fiona. She brought a giant thank you card to her local public supermarket, and it was for an employee there, Gilnett. Fiona met him when she was just a baby, and every week since, she looks for him during her family grocery runs. Gilnett actually taught Fiona how to give high fives, an important skill. And because he's always there to give her one, she's nicknamed him High Five. That's a great nickname. Well, for her birthday, Gilnett gave her something else, a little better than a high five, I'd say, a brand new bicycle. Fiona's mom called it an unprecedented gesture of kindness and said Fiona was so excited to get it, she wanted to give him a thank you, hence the giant card. Inside that manila envelope is a card and some photos of her on her brand new bike to show her friend. Next, we've got this viral video of Chowder the Bulldog. He's not just any dog, he knows how to skateboard. How come? When? What? Chowder's family said it wasn't always this way. In fact, during the first 2 years of Chowder's life, he seemed a little bit sad, a little bit remote, always a little bit bored. To tell you the truth, they struggled to find something he enjoyed until they brought home a skateboard for some reason, and Chowder was beyond happy. And over the past 3.5 years, ever since he saw that board, he's gotten better and better and better at it. And there he is. That's considered good for a dog, and he shares his passion now on TikTok. At least his owners do. Our next video is a moving tribute to the country of Ukraine. Members of the Broadway community gathered in New York City's Times Square to perform Do You Hear the People Sing? It's a beautiful rendition. The musical vigil was meant to send a message of solidarity and support to the Ukrainian people, and I would say mission accomplished, even on a rainy day. Now to another musical tribute, this one in Boston, and this one by a smaller series of performers. Take a look. CBS Boston's Rachel Holt has more.
A song with a powerful message.
As a hymn, it really calls for the independence and the protection of the country, for its sovereignty. It's an anthem that's become a rallying cry for the Ukrainian people.
It's called A Prayer for Ukraine.
This song has a lot of meaning in it, and so it makes me happy to sing it.
It's one of the latest songs in the repertoire of the Boston Children's Chorus, the lyrics all in Ukrainian.
We're going to have a megaphone, we're going to have a prominent stage in the city of Boston, and what better time to showcase Boston's support for Ukraine than when we're on stage.
For some of the 250 chorus members, the song has personal meaning, including Ukrainian-born Yana Sibera.
My grandmother sleeps in a bomb shelter, so it's hard to connect with her during the day.
And Sabrina Kogan.
I grew up around Ukrainian and Russian language my whole life, so being able to sing in this amazing space with all my friends and all these people who I care about so much and sing to people that I care about is so much more meaningful.
The song will be included in BCC's annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. tribute concert at Symphony Hall this Sunday. The first time the chorus will be performing in front of an audience here in 2 years.
Now we get to actually showcase what we do best, which is singing for social change, singing for a better world. So we're really excited.
We're excited too. Thank you very much, Rachel. Moving on for now, Park Ranger Betty Reed Saskin retired at the age of 100 last month. She was a National Park Service employee. She joined when she was 84, working at the Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historic Park. That's in Richmond, California, just north of Oakland. She was part of the planning effort to bring that historical state park to Richmond. And she also worked to uncover untold stories of African Americans on the home front during World War II. She was the oldest active ranger in the National Park Service before her retirement, also an author and social justice activist. That will continue. And the park will celebrate her retirement later this month. And you can celebrate it too, as we just did. All right, coming up, we introduce you to some inspiring people, including a little boy with a big ask to help others in his own unique way. And a priest who became the #1 podcaster in the country. What country is that? Plus, this little prince who may look familiar, really familiar. Take a close look. Could he be a musical icon, I wonder? During the pandemic, more people than most sought calmness and peace of mind, and more than 200 million may have found it with an unusual podcast. CBS Minnesota's Susan Elizabeth Littlefield introduces us to the podcasting priest.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
The story of this pious man started in Brainerd, Minnesota, in a pretty unpious way.
I did not like going to Mass. I would say I hated going to Mass. We'll say it like that.
He had a pretty typical Midwestern Catholic upbringing, but becoming a priest took some self-convincing.
As priests don't get married, it was one of those like, oh shoot, what do I do?
He decided to go all in. He lives on campus and leads the Catholic ministry at the University of Minnesota, Duluth.
I have to say that ever since I've been ordained, which is almost 20 years now, I don't think there's been more than 5 minutes that I've been lonely.
But he has been busy. And then when the stress of the pandemic hit in 2020, he felt it was time for a new project.
And so then I was like, okay, here's what we need to do. I want to read the Bible every day and make a podcast.
He did just that.
Hi, I'm Father Mike Schmitz, and you're listening to the Bible in a Year podcast.
And what happened next, he nor anyone else could have ever imagined.
Going from Genesis to Revelation, you don't get the story. You have to read the Bible in a certain order.
Bible scholar Jeff Cavins joined Father Mike to break the complicated book into daily podcasts, each about 22 minutes long, with readings, prayers, and reflections.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
My producer called and said, "You're #1 in the country." And I said, "#1 what?" "Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, you're #1 in the country." And I am like, it's two guys from Minnesota reading the Bible, and it rose to #1.
Who could have thunk it?
We were shocked.
They have 238 million downloads and counting, landing this billboard in Times Square. They have listeners of other faiths, and they have atheist followers too from around the world.
Are you surprised so many people are so interested in hearing the Bible every day of the year?
So that doesn't surprise me. What surprised me was that it was the one that I did that was helpful or successful in this particular way.
But he says he's not to credit. He's just passing the peace.
God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
You never quite know what will come out of a child's mouth. But one 5-year-old boy in Indiana said something to his mom that turned into a months-long project to help others. That's unexpected. Caitlin O'Kane has the story.
Sometimes little kids can say things that surprise you. What Jackson Potachik said to his mom last December was astounding.
Jackson came to me before bed and he said, "Mommy, I've been thinking about something for a lot of days." And I was like, oh boy, we've already seen Santa. The wish lists have been prepared. So what's he gonna tell me? And what did you tell me?
Give stuffed animals to people, but they don't have any.
Jackson wouldn't let his mom, Abby, forget. He wanted to give stuffed animals to other kids in need. Abby posted about it on Facebook, asking if people would be interested in donating. Soon, they had collected 585 stuffed animals and a list of places to bring them. From Indiana's Riley Children's Hospital to the Middletown Fire Department to an organization that puts together bags of goods for foster kids.
He has been a part of all of the drop-offs. He's helped sort all of the animals before we go. And it was neat because a lot of people donated money. So he was actually able to go and shop and pick out the stuffed animals on his own with the money that was donated to him. So that was a really good experience too. And his dad and I were so proud of him. He didn't ask to keep one stuffed animal for himself. There was a lot of really cool ones that he got too, but he didn't ask to keep any of them.
Abby said she always tries to instill the importance of giving back. But Jackson's little idea turned into something much bigger, and they hope to continue it year after year.
We really thought this would be a small act of generosity, but it's turned into something much, much larger. And I would say that he's actually taught us a lot, because my husband and I were kind of hesitant at first to, ask other people for help, but people were very anxious to do it. And it's really turned into a much bigger and larger thing.
Coming up, we'll go inside the White House to meet some very special employees there helping deliver messages to millions of homes. Plus, our Minneapolis station WCCO-TV takes us inside an investigation to find out if this little boy is a music icon. At the Grammys, stars showed up on the red carpet to show off their fashion and talk about their music, but some stars brought along sign language interpreters. Olivia Rodrigo took home 3 Grammys and was seen answering questions with an American Sign Language interpreter right at her side. And she's not the only star to do this. Mickey Guyton and Elle King also brought ASL interpreters to help the deaf and hard of hearing community at home get the full Grammy star experience. So let's go ahead and introduce you then to a groundbreaking team of sign language interpreters who work at the White House. Ed O'Keefe has more on their critical role in our democracy.
Good afternoon. At the White House, the president, first lady, and the press secretary are usually the most familiar faces, but for thousands of Americans, that box in the right-hand corner of the White House live stream is where their eyes usually focus. Elsie Snecker is the first official White House American Sign Language interpreter.
This is a dream job with that combination of the political information and the interpreting. It fits me very, very well.
Every day, whenever the president speaks,
my fellow Americans,
whenever Jen Psaki holds a press briefing,
and I know there are a few topics to discuss,
or when experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci share new information from the White House,
the safety of these vaccines have been clearly established.
Elsie is on screen too.
I have to recognize and thank really the deaf community and the grassroots deaf people who pushed so hard to make sure that this access was available.
About 500,000 use American Sign Language, which is not the English version of sign language, but its own language entirely, with its own grammar and sentence structure. During the pandemic, advocates sued to get live ASL interpretation during COVID briefings.
We will have an ASL, an American Sign Language interpreter.
The Biden administration went a step further, hiring Elsie, who's deaf, as a member of the staff. We spoke to her with the assistance of Miyako Villanueva, who signed my questions to her and spoke her answers back.
Absolutely, I am blessed to be here.
And Elsie is just one half of a team.
This is really the ultimate of team relationships.
Lindsay Snyder, who can hear, is also an ASL interpreter.
I am interpreting from English to ASL, and I am essentially feeding Elsie, who then takes that message and interprets it. What I call it real-time editing.
Elsie and Lindsay spend hours each day preparing by reading up on the news and topics on the White House schedule. When an event starts...
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Lindsay listens, then interprets for Elsie.
We're seeing the beginnings of an American manufacturing comeback.
Who signs in front of the camera.
As the United States is in a position to outcompete the world once again.
Onto your screen.
There's no limit to what we can achieve. None.
They could just hire someone like Lindsay to do this work, but in essence, they've gone the extra step of hiring somebody who is completely deaf.
Deaf people who are ASL users can watch and identify that it's a deaf person signing on the screen. Most hearing interpreters, they learned ASL, so they have an accent in ASL, where a deaf person who grew up using ASL doesn't have that same kind of accent. We also, as deaf interpreters, can gauge what a deaf audience would potentially need. That some kind of terminology is clearer than others. Some things need a little bit more expansion and explanation.
Natural performers with a great sense of timing, they say the best part of their day is the daily press briefing.
One of my favorite parts, and it's actually related to you. Are you ready?
Okay.
Often, someone will ask a question.
And then on infrastructure,
and she answers it.
back on infrastructure.
And then somebody else asks a question, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, didn't they already ask that? And then the third person asks, and I'm like, she answered it already. So I'm having this argument with myself in the back of my head while I'm working and trying to keep my cool on the screen.
Is there something those of us in the room should be doing to help it along?
Make friends with your consonants. I love a good articulator.
The 1-year anniversary of the American Rescue Plan.
I also believe that no one speaks or reads faster than Jen Psaki.
Believe it or not, Elsie and Lindsay had never met Psaki in person.
It's so nice to meet you.
But we helped arrange a meeting.
Craft briefings are my favorite. We tell everyone. Or maybe I talk a little fast. Okay, I'll work on that too.
This is the ultimate kind of team. We have our own skill set that manages to come together to put out the most effective message to bring in a community that's been marginalized for so long.
I'm not here for myself to be in this position. I'm here for the deaf community to have access to this message.
When we come back, the story of a local CBS station in Minneapolis that uncovered a gem, a 1970 interview with a Twin Cities icon long before he was famous. Imagine going to work, finding a little piece of history in the form of a little boy on tape that looks just like a musical icon. CBS Minneapolis reporter Jeff Wagner brings us on a journey to solve the mystery of who is that little prince.
Deep in the WCCO film archives are hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities to travel back in time. And on one reel, a treasure lay hidden, untouched for 52 years. April 1970. Minneapolis Public Schools educators went on strike. We restored the film to offer context to the educators' strike that happened in the same district just last month.
Okay, so there's the governor's mansion. That's kind of cool.
Matt Liddy is WCCO's production manager.
I grew up in Minneapolis, so all I cared about was looking at cool old buildings from the place I grew up.
But his curiosity turned into a discovery when he saw a reporter interviewing kids as teachers picketed in the background. And it was this young boy, jumping around and later answering a question, who left Liddy speechless.
So then I immediately just went out to the newsroom and started showing people and saying, I'm not going to tell you who I think this is, but who do you think this is? And every single person, Prince.
We didn't have the right equipment to hear the film, so a specialist helped us extract the audio, and then we heard his voice.
Are most of the kids in favor of the picketing?
Yep.
How come?
I think they should get a better education too, and I think they should get some more money, cause they be working extra hours for us and all that stuff.
Our excitement was palpable, but
we did not get him saying, I'm Prince Nelson.
Cue our investigation.
And that's all I feel. My name is Ronnie Kitchen.
We gotta find him, Ronnie Kitchen.
Surely he could confirm our quest.
Hi, this message is for Ronnie Kitchen.
But the phone numbers and addresses we found were dead ends.
I hear something in the background, but there's no one there.
How about a picture? A yearbook photo showing Prince as a 5th grader popped up online.
He would have been 10 or 11 in this picture, and he would have been 11 during the strike, which is when that interview happened.
We needed an expert.
I just heard back from Kristen. She's a historian when it comes to Prince.
A dedicated fan.
They called him Skipper.
Yeah.
Who used her professional research skills to piece together the Purple One's life.
I've written a big document sort of outlining his historic journey from Minneapolis' north side to Paisley Park and the world.
Kristen Schamler says videos of Prince as a preteen are almost non-existent. Until now. She's seen the clip here for the first time.
Oh, I think that's it, definitely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and this definitely looks like Lincoln Junior High School, where he would have been attending school in April of 1970.
Jamler then showed us what is believed to be a 6th grade picture of Prince, the same school year of the strike.
Yeah, there's so much in his mannerisms and his eyes and everything, but it looks like him.
Despite the evidence, we still needed someone who knew Prince as a kid. Jamler connected us with Terrence Jackson.
We go back as far as kindergarten at John Hale Elementary in North Minneapolis.
A childhood friend and neighbor who was also in Prince's first band, Grand Central, when they were teenagers.
Oh my God, that's Kitchen. That is Prince. Standing right through the hat on, right?
Yeah, keep watching, keep watching.
That's Skipper! Oh my God!
That was just his reaction seeing Prince. Now, he's hearing him.
Wow.
I think they should get a better education too.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow, that was him.
What do you,
I'm like blown away and flabbergasted. I'm totally blown away.
Wiping away tears, Jackson was suddenly flooded with memories.
But he was already playing guitar and keys by then, phenomenally. As far as I can remember, music became our sport. Cause he was athletic, I was athletic, but we wanted to compete musically.
Jackson's wife, Rhoda, grew up right alongside them.
It's just amazing to see him, that small, that young, and hear his voice.
Yep.
Our mystery regarding one of the most mysterious men in music was solved.
That's Prince, a.k.a. Skipper to the North Side.
And I think just seeing Prince as a young child in his neighborhood school, it helps really ground him to that Minneapolis connection.
Just a young city kid years before he put his city and its sound on the map.
Mark my words, you guys have found a real gem.
That's our show. I sincerely hope it brightened your day, lifted you up, and if it didn't, re-rack it. Rewatches are free. Thank you. See you next week.